Welcome to the Idaho Business Podcast, where we talk with local entrepreneurs, share motivation, network with one another, and pick up a tip or two on how not to burn your business to the ground. I'm your host, Spencer Ward. We are here with Giuseppe Grammatico. He is the founder of the Freedom Franchise podcast, correct? Is that it, or is it Franchise
Correct.
Freedom?
Yep. Franchise freedom. That's good. Yeah.
Franchise Freedom podcast. Yep. And before we get too far into him, we better mention our sponsor, Health West Medical Group. These guys are fantastic. Give them a Google. Find where they're closest to you. They're spread out throughout Idaho, but see where they're closest to you and your loved ones and how they can service you. But back to Giuseppe. Uh, Giuseppe's had a long career in the financial industry. He was an investment wholesaler. He worked for JP Morgan as an asset manager. Now he's kind of broke away from corporate America and he's helping people find freedom with franchises. He's been doing that for how many years now, Giuseppe?
Well, close to 20 years now.
Close to 20 years, and he's helped over 1,000 corporate executives looking to achieve financial careers and time freedom by providing expert franchise consultation and guidance. So this will be an interesting episode for everyone to listen to and to stay tuned to. So thank you, Giuseppe, and welcome.
Thanks, Spencer. Looking forward to it and looking to share as much as we can here. So
Yeah, and you can correct me on any of the false doctrine that I may have just shared. So
that's all right. All good. No, they're all in line. Got out of corporate America. That's the big part there. So
good, good. Well, awesome. Yeah, let's dive into some of that. We have a lot of listeners that they're working for your corporate. They're working for corporate America. They're in these corporate jobs, and they may be having different signs of I don't know how certain my job is, especially the AI coming into the industry is so hard and so fast right now. Um, I'm guessing you're seeing a lot of this in what you're helping people with.
absolutely, yeah. It's I mean, just in general, people just dissatisfied with their jobs, worried about a layoff, as you mentioned. Will AI affect my position, my career, right? We're seeing a lot of that as well. And I help people look at other options. We'll call it career pivoting, career transition, and figuring out, what those next steps are if owning a business makes sense or not. It doesn't always make sense. And out of all those people I've helped over the years, not everyone had moved forward with the business. Many of them weren't ready. Many of them weren't qualified. Many of them just needed another job, and a lot also had moved forward with the franchise. So yeah, I always tell people a franchise is a business on training wheels, and it's a great idea, in my opinion, to create a safety net, and that may be a franchise in the event of the next downsizing, so that you can control that, right? You can control that other business. Maybe you don't get downsized and you decide to leave on your own terms, or you do get downsized. Instead of waiting on that 1 month severance, if you're lucky, or maybe it's a few months, you have something else, in the background, another business, another side hustle that you've been running that you can transition into full time.
Sure. And you've owned, I'm guessing a few or many franchises and non-franchises at this point.
Yeah, I've had from it started at a very young age in high school, side hustles, detailing cars, delivering flyers for local businesses. We owned a restaurant growing up. That's where I really cut my teeth in entrepreneurship. We owned franchises in the building services space. Sold that several years ago, and utilized. I mean, it was great exit. Utilized everything I learned, the mistakes I made, and I dedicate 100% of my time on my consulting business, as I see a lot of people making a lot of these common mistakes. It's really my job to help them avoid those mistakes, find a franchise on their own terms, and maybe avoid a franchise if it's not matching up to kind of what they're looking for.
I think of franchises and I'm like, man, that would be real nice because I've bought a company and I've started a company, non-franchise companies, and I've had to build all the systems. I've had to be the guy that's put everything in place, how it runs, you know, when to do employee reviews, how to do employee reviews, how to, all the different things that you have to worry about. The people that think, hey, I want to own a business, they have no idea that even to start thinking it that way. When you go into franchises, that's spelled out for you. It's it's
Right.
it's it's laid out. This is how you do this part in HR. This is how you do this in accounts receivable. This is how you bid jobs. Am I right, or am I
That
speaking the wrong things here?
that's exactly it. This is the blueprint. This is the guide. This is exactly how we do business. And instead of just saying, "Hey, well, you should get a CRM, and your CRM should include X, Y, and Z," you're getting access to the CRM. In a lot of our home-based or home service businesses, like cleaning, roofing, painting, you're getting a CRM. You're getting turnkey marketing and a call center. So essentially, I'm not saying it's easy, but you sign that franchise agreement with a franchise, you're getting the system in place, the guide for you to follow. And it's not simply, get a CRM, which we all know we should be having a CRM and post on social media. In many cases, they'll actually give you the CRM and help you set it up. They'll actually, have a turnkey marketing system where they're doing all the marketing, the digital ad spend for you to review the KPIs and the strategy. And those leads are going to a call center where they're picking up the phone, answering the phone, scheduling, taking payment in some cases. So a franchise has a lot of advantages. I'm not saying it's easy. It's still a lot of work. You still have to follow that system, but you don't have to manage the people in the call center. That's typically done at the home office. You're managing your team, and it may be you as kind of that general manager, the main person, and then maybe a salesperson, maybe a technician. So you know exactly where to find those people, who to look for. So you're really just capitalizing on the system in place with the benefit of being up and running in 90 days. You do pay a franchise fee versus a startup, but that startup you're paying with time, the lost opportunity of spending a year or two setting up these systems in place. But even with the systems, you're getting, in a painting business, you're getting economies of scale. You're getting, better pricing on paint and supplies. It may be another business where they have national accounts working with the large hardware stores and things like that. So you're getting advantages. Maybe you're the preferred vendor in your market for some of these larger name brands. So lots of benefits there for someone that is looking not to recreate the wheel, that just wants to go in, follow that system, and make and growing that business as quickly as possible.
I like that a lot. I think about all the reasons why companies fail, and especially with startup companies, that especially aren't in a franchise. I can think of, not growing fast enough. Um, it took me a year and a half of just literally knocking doors, doing everything I could just to get my second contract,
Right.
and just because I didn't know anything about marketing, all I knew was, oh, I just got to work myself to the bone,
Right.
you know. I didn't know anything about cash flow, didn't know how to bid my jobs properly. So when people, that's another reason why people got out of business because they don't know their numbers and they're bidding their jobs not the right way, and they're pretty much paying their customers to do work for them, and they're quickly going out of business. And they're thinking, oh, if I just do more jobs, I'll be able to make more
Right.
money. But it's just like, oh, I've got a hole in my boat. And instead of getting a bucket and bailing the water, or all they're doing is bailing the water actually. And what actually is happening is they're just drilling more holes in their boat by giving more and more bids out and getting more and more work at those prices. So that's where
That's
I
exactly
think
it. Yeah.
that's where I think the
Mhm.
franchise thing is just hitting the nail right on the head there, is because you're walking into a proven system. As long as you're willing to work, and put in the effort, it's a proven system that other people have had success with.
That's absolutely it. And we're not saying that there's no risk with the franchise. Obviously, that franchisor still needs to deliver and come through with their promises, and the franchisee has to continue. It's not a passive thing. It's not a set it and forget it. Like the stock market, you just kind of reinvest in the market and maybe check in on once in a while. But these systems are crucial, and just the metrics. So a lot of brands are implementing, Traction by Gino Wickman, EOS, the Entrepreneurial Operating System, where instead of saying these are KPIs to review, it's basically six key areas, the six spokes of the wheel. This is when you need to make sure you eliminate or reduce employee turnover, and this is how to go about it. You check in once a week, once a month, once a quarter. Same thing on the financial, same thing on the marketing, so that you have a specific plan of reviewing these numbers. So that's how to monitor. Followed by this is the franchisor's average, right? The average franchisee is closing half of the appointments they're going on. On all those jobs, they're getting about a 30% margin, so that when you put up your dashboard and compare it from one office to the next, you may come back and say, you know what, I'm doing really well, but my margins are half. Am I doing something wrong with the bidding? Is there theft? Is there something going on? And addressing those sooner than later, not waiting until the end of the year. So they're very proactive. They want to make sure you're profitable, because more sales, doesn't do you any good if you have holes, as you mentioned, in the boat. You're sinking. You have theft. You're misquoting jobs. So they want you to be efficient. AI is, for the brands that are embracing it, which I think every brand should at some point or another, and embrace it. They're helping the franchisees become more profitable. In some cases, I've heard a franchise owner, instead of needing 5 employees, they knocked it down to 3. It's not eliminating jobs completely, but it's making the franchisee more efficient. Why? Because the call centers, and I had someone on the show not too long ago, they're able to do 250 calls at the same time. It's like having 250 people in that room taking calls on your behalf. So they're using those efficiencies and trying to cut the costs as much as possible.
Yeah, I love that. I love that just because that's that happens, in both the non-franchise world and in the franchise world, that people just think, hey, I can just, set it and forget it and not go over my numbers and think, hey, as long as I'm doing work and I'm out there, sweating my sweat, wiping the sweat from my brow, and I can see the physical work that I'm doing, I should be making money. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. And I
It doesn't.
go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I was agreeing. It doesn't, right?
Yeah. Well, especially in Idaho, we have some hardworking people here in Idaho, and these guys, we're a lot of blue collar people here, and a lot of white collar people too. But it's just they're hardworking people. They're great people, and it hurts my heart when I find people that are just they're hard workers, and then they see a business fail because they're not checking the small things. They're not checking the numbers. Just like you just said, they have some accountability partners with this franchise that they're saying, hey, your numbers are off, dude, or gal, or whatever, whoever's owning it. Like, hey,
Right.
let's tweak some things. Let's get things right. So I love that there's accountability to it. When it comes to the franchise fees and stuff, like what's the average amount of franchise fee that people are paying to be a part of this franchise systems?
Yeah. So the franchise fee you paid once, and that's access to the full system, 10 to 100,000. I've seen with the averages between 30 and 50,000. So you pay that up front. You literally pay that franchise fee in full, and you have full access to the entire system, to the training, to everything that's involved in that specific business. The franchise will give you the item 7 in their agreement, which is their investment range, and that's going to include your franchise fee. So just say it's 50,000, and then it's going to include roughly 90 days of marketing, payroll expenses, anything you need from your accountant, your attorneys, travel to training. So basically everything from startup to 90 days out. So in a non brick and mortar setting, you're looking at, you could be an investment between 1 and 2 or 300,000, depending on how much staff is involved, how much marketing. Do you need a truck? A business coaching franchise will be a lot less than a water and smoke restoration franchise, where you need the truck and the equipment. And if you're running it full time or part time, if you're going to be running it part time, you may have a general manager in place. But yeah, that gives you kind of a full, so you have a good kind of an estimate of what the total investment's going to be initially for the first 90 days. But yeah, that franchise fee is paid once, and then usually the agreements are average 10 years. They're between 5 and 20 years, average 10. And then after that 10-year, you have the ability to renew for a small fee, if any. But at any point in time, if you're looking to potentially sell the business, you have the ability to sell. You don't have to wait the full 10 years. You can sell the business at any point in time.
Okay. So when you sell a franchise, the book of business belongs to you still, doesn't belong to the franchise?
When you so you're selling your franchise itself, so that
Yeah.
so basically the new franchisee would just take over where you left off.
Cool.
That buyer of the business will also do due diligence to meet the franchisor, because the partnership is with the franchisor, not with the seller. So you would take over whatever accounts are coming in, staff, and things like that. You would still go to training at the franchisor level. There's going to be a transfer fee that someone's going to pay, but part of that has to do with the paperwork, the training, and stuff like that. And you would just pick up where the that seller left off. Go to training. Make sure you have a good working relationship with the franchisor.
I like it. And then is on top of those startup fees, is there any like, revenue fees that you're paying on top of like a percentage of revenue or anything like that for franchises?
That would be the royalty. So most brands, I would say, you're probably, if I had to estimate, between 5 and 10% of gross
Mhm.
revenue, and
Okay.
that's a royalty you'll pay on gross revenue, so that you're going to pay that percentage. So you pay the one time franchise fee once. The royalty is going to be ongoing, and for that royalty, you want to know exactly, be 100% crystal clear what you're getting. So usually that is going to include all the support and everything you need to get launched, but also ongoing support. You need additional training. You had some turnover with staff. Your profitability isn't where it should be, or you need someone to travel with you. That's all part of that. And each franchise agreement will review any additional costs, but usually it's that royalty. So whatever that royalty is, always ask, okay, it's 5%, great. What am I getting on an ongoing basis? What does that look like? What happens if I get stuck or need recoaching? So yeah, so that's how the franchise companies make money. It's not necessarily the franchise fee, given the time and cost to get a franchise owner up and running. They're making their money on the royalty, which works great because they're essentially, their goals are in line with your success.
I
They
like
never
that.
want a franchisee to fail, and the more you make in revenue, the more they make in royalty.
Yeah, I like that. Well, because honestly, you're going to be paying that amount of money anyways in your overhead, regardless, just because you're going to need that role filled. Either, someone helping you with X, Y, and Z. It's either going to be with a franchise or someone that you have in-house helping you do that. So you're going to be paying that money out regardless. So I think that's, with someone that you're partnering with, that, like you just said, they got your goals are aligned and you both want to make the most amount of money. I think that's a win-win.
And you want to confirm that, right? And I agree 100% with the coaching, and you get a lot of value there. You're going to hear what the franchisor gives you as far as support, but also I highly recommend talking with the franchisees, the people that already purchased invested in the franchise, that are doing business. Ask them what the support looks like. Are they truly getting everything that's included? You want to make sure to open up every door, check everything, confirm, make sure that the franchisees are happy. If they're not, if they had some issues, were they resolved? So that there's nothing, you're leaving no stone unturned, right? You're talking with franchisor, you're talking with the franchisees, eventually meeting them in person at a discovery day event. But you want to make sure that current franchise owners are happy with the support, the training, and the $1 million question is, hey, knowing you've owned the franchise several years, knowing what you know and your experiences, would you do it all over again? And if you're getting a lot of no's and hesitations, you want to dig and find out why, and maybe that's a reason to move past that particular franchise company.
That's true. So I used to be in commercial real estate for years. And I saw in your profile while I was doing some homework before I started this episode that, I'm sure many people, and I'm sure many of my listeners are thinking, franchise, is this all just about Chick-fil-A's, or is this about, McDonald's, or what is this? But just like you said, that you had a franchise in the service industry. Their franchises exist in every different industry, I'm guessing, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's 4,000 franchise companies. 75 plus industries. So you got your Chick-fil-A's or your McDonald's, and that's what most people think of when they think of
Yeah.
franchising, which is what I thought. And Subway was the big one back 20 years ago. And I got into building services. People are getting into business coaching, expense reduction. These are recession resistant type of businesses. Senior care, right? Taking care of mom and dad, your aging grandparents. You can't stop aging. I mean, we can maybe stop looking like we're aging, but we're still aging. So
Yep.
looking at markets with that 75-year and older community, making sure there's enough people there to service within that community. Those have done well. Those are, not saying one is better than the other, but some of the advantages there is that in many cases you don't need an office, or you need a eventually need a small office outside the home, and you could be up and running in literally 90 days or less. Pay the franchise fee, go to training. While you're in training, the franchisor turns that marketing engine on so that they're basically filling up your schedule so that when you do launch 30, 60 days out, your schedule is full of appointments, potential revenue there. So absolutely. Yeah. I mean, dog waste removal. We have brands that detail private jets. They do
Wow.
cleaning inside and out. Mental health. And then you have your gyms and barbershops and things like that. But if you could think of a business, a franchise for the most part exists.
That's pretty cool. Well, that's cool for people that are listening. They're like, I've always had a dream of owning a barber shop. I've always had a dream of owning a gym or a dog waste removal company. I don't know if
Hey,
that's me, but maybe it is, but I don't know. But my boys would say that's not a dream because that's their job at home. So, but no,
as
I
are
think
my
that's
my kids as well.
but yeah, that's awesome. I think that's it's a good way to kind of cut your teeth and to make some money in this life if you're kind of getting tired of the corporate grind. So um well as we come to the kind of a conclusion of this episode, I always kind of end with a lightning round before we get to rolling out the red carpet of uh of our guests. But two questions I'd like to ask you. Well, actually, quick three questions. Is there
Okay.
a favorite book or a software that you've used? So you've a book you read or a software, it can be either or, that's just going to be a game changer for you.
Traction by Gino Wickman. I have my undergrad and graduate degree, I have business experience. I wish this book, I came across this book years ago. It was taught in school. It's a great way a different way of looking at your business. With a strong follow-up recommendation is E-Myth Revisited by Michael Gerber,
Love that
going
one.
back to blue collar technicians, how to go about running a business, the systems that you need in place, and things like that. Those are two great books I recommend over and over again.
Beautiful. The Traction one is actually on my wish list, so I'm going to be reading that before the end of the year. So
Good book.
yeah, glad you said that one. Biggest myth business owners need to know the truth about.
Biggest myth. It's that first year, it's not, people get into this for time and financial freedom. And maybe that's because of how people kind of represent themselves online. Owning a business is so completely worth it. It is a lot of work that first year. So I think setting the expectation of you're not going to make millions your first year. And if you did, that's great. But setting the expectation the first year is a builder year. I didn't create time freedom my first year. I eventually did. And I never missed the kids' events and soccer games and things like that. Even became a soccer coach. But it takes time to build. This is not like, oh, I'm leaving my job making 200K and how quickly can I make that in a business? These are the wrong questions to ask. You're getting into business so that you can build this vehicle, right, to help you get away from the day to day, so that you can go to the soccer events, you can go to the baseball games that are maybe in the middle of the day with the kids. Why? Because you have people and systems in place, and a franchise can give that to you. But the most important thing is having those systems. And if you're going the franchise route, you don't need any experience. The franchise is looking for a transferable skill set, so you can get into dog waste removal and never had a pet, never in that industry. Same thing with cutting hair or just about anything else. So um, figure out that skill set and treat the first year as that builder year.
I love it. That's fantastic advice. So last question before I roll out the red carpet for you. What's one question I should have asked that I didn't?
Um, where can we really? the service that we really provide to people, at the end of the day, business ownership sounds great, but um, this is kind of a question and more of a statement. But I'm here to empower people, letting people know that everyone, you can control only, you can't control the stock market, you can't control the economy, you can't control the next, Fed rate cut. What you can't control is your attitude and your approach to things. You can't control the amount of effort that you put in. So my job is really to empower everyone to say, you owe it to yourself to speak with someone that has owned a franchise, that's been in the space. You don't necessarily have to figure out the how, but figure out the who. Figure out who is that individual that has been in real estate, has been in franchising, has done the startup, and learn from them. Figure out what is the right fit, because what's the right fit for me may not be the right fit for you. And just truly allow yourself to experience it. So most people I talk to think you need millions of dollars and you have to buy McDonald's to own a franchise. Once I let them know that's not the case, it opens up other conversations. So give yourself, if you do one thing and one thing only for the remainder of the year, is to learn something new, learn about a space like franchising, like startups, or real estate syndication, and talk to the expert in the field and figure out where that falls in. And then you kind of figure out which is the best fit for you, because some will have higher returns. Some will have a lot more time investment. You have a lot of time investment with a franchise with the goal to kind of reduce that time. So figure out what's the right fit for you, but at least talk to someone and learn something new.
That's awesome. I love it. All right, Giuseppe, if people are listening and they're, I'm sure they are and thinking, wow, I need to talk to this guy. What is the best way to reach out to you and to get in contact with you?
Well, Giuseppe Grammatico is very hard to spell, so we're going to go with the initials GG, the franchise guide, GUIDE. So ggthefranchiseguide.com. Couple things. One, a book, Franchise Freedom. It's my exact blueprint of finding your perfect franchise, along with some other bonuses. Completely free. It's a free download. Amazon sells it for under $5, but the download's free. Not ready or prefer a podcast? We have 250 episodes. You can search by topic. We talk about exit strategy planning. We talk about who's a good fit, who's not a good fit for franchising, and rookie mistakes to avoid your first year, and so much more. Or if you're ready, you could book a call, top right-hand side of the screen. It's going to give you 3 questions. Those questions are intentional. It'll help you figure out within those questions if you're a good fit at this time for franchising. If you are, you pass the quiz, it'll open up the calendar and you could book a 20-minute call with me. My service is free to you. The franchise companies pay us a referral fee in the event you purchase a franchise, just like a real estate agent or executive recruiter. So really the only investment is 20 minutes of your time. I'll help you expedite, save you a ton of time in research in figuring out if a franchise is a good fit. Got to start there, followed by what types of businesses should we explore. I'm going to save you hundreds of hours there, because I see most people get super excited about a product, but it doesn't match the availability, their ability to invest in that business, and so many other things. So we can really help out. And as I mentioned, there's no cost or anything for our service, just an investment of your time. So looking forward to helping those that have any interest, even if it's just to answer a quick question.
Well, I appreciate it, Giuseppe. Thank you for coming on the show with us and taking your time out of your busy day for us today. So I think we've all learned a lot. So
thanks, Bester. It was fun. I really appreciate the invite, and looking forward to helping, even if it's one person, kind of figure out the next steps.
For sure. And then if those that are listening and they're thinking, wow, this is resonated with me, think of who this could really help in your life and share this episode with them. And just like always, guys, be happy, be grateful, and find opportunities to serve others, and go out there and dominate your day. Adios. Thanks, Giuseppe.
Thank you.
That's it for today's Idaho Business Podcast. Hopefully you learned something new. And if you didn't, I've got a cheat code for you. Go to theidahobusinesspodcast.com, enter your email, and get my 20 golden rules for business. It's packed with my best advice, plus it's free. Subscribe, leave a review, share this with a friend. Until next time, keep hustling, keep laughing, and keep Idaho awesome.